Oh. Come on, you fucker. Wow. It's been a while. Again, I think it's been a couple months, but as you can see, there's progress being made. The two front frame horn bars are done. The next issue is to get them out of the way. I need to make a weld up here and up here before these bars go in, and then I can put those bars in. And in order for that stuff to start happening, the cab has to come back off. And in order for the cab to come back off, I have to figure out a way to put some rigging up in the ceiling, pull the cab up straight until I get it just clear of the A-pillar bar here, and then tilt the cab backwards, and that should let me get it completely up and out of the way where I could put a dolly under the front here and then roll the chassis forward to get it out, lift it up again, and then put it on the rotisserie for some of the harder welds, and do a few other things I've been meaning to do with door bars and things like that. I can just do it without the cab in the way, because I have marks on the main hoop back there, marks on the A-pillar, and everything else as to where these bars have to go. So just be a little easier without the cab in the way. Also, the way these bars turned out, they're not perfect as far as symmetrical left to right. They're a hair off. That's fine, that doesn't matter, because what does matter is when I make the shock mounts, which are going to be in this area right here. When I set the shock mounts, as long as the shock mounts are level, centered, and elevation is correct, then these guys aren't as important as you think they'd be. Also found some adapters for 5/8 heim joints, so I'm going to whip up a set of upper control arms for this thing. If you can see the fit up on the cage, sorry about the reflection in the window. I actually cleaned the window of the truck, and yeah, now it's reflecting off. You might see this one better. But I posted this on Instagram, a picture of this one. Jesus, let me get out of the way here. Yeah, you can see the cage fit up. It's pretty damn good. So, if you're paying someone to build a cage and they can't show you fit up pictures like that, and that's how your cage is fitting together, yeah, you should probably find someone else to do it. Inside's still the same. Nothing's really happened with that, but once I get this off and get this done, I can build my support bar up to here. While the cab's off, I'm going to cut the cowl out so the engine can go back in while the cab's on it after all this, and then yeah, get the subframe mounted on the front, and then I have to use the rear piece. It's the rear mount for the lower control arms. It's got to go in this area down here. Get that all situated. Take some measurements for the coilovers in the front, and then I should have a roller. What else? Feels a little messy back here, but it's coated. The filler plate is coated. All the lines are hooked up. I don't know if I showed this before. Well, I couldn't have because I didn't have the fuel pumps in. The only thing is I gotta make a return line that does some stuff. I have to take these wires, cut them, and extend them out through the electrical connection. Put a connector back here. It's gonna be for fuel supply and the sending unit. Pop the back window out of the cab, and then when the cab goes back on for what might be the final time, then the rear support bars can come down and tie into the chassis, and that will be finished. But for now, I gotta get the seat out and pull the cab off this damn thing. Yeah, another thing about these bars and why they were kind of a pain in the ass is the thing it was tying into was in a bend. You had a door, you had the dash bar here, and you had a bar coming in on an angle, at 2 angles coming into this, and it also had to have a bend down there to catch the frame rail down there. So yeah, they were kind of a pain in the ass to do, but they turned out okay. And if you watched 2 videos ago where I was making the PVC pieces, I ended up not being happy with the way it eventually turned out. So what I did is I took the time, went into SolidWorks, tried to design this setup as best I could with the, obviously this bar here coming in, using a digital protractor and some other stuff. And what I did is I ended up printing this. This piece is probably, I don't know which side this piece is for, but I printed a piece for each side. And what these guys did is, let's say this was your piece of tube you were working with. I had index marks, which was kind of like where the bends would be. And this thing slid over that and gives you a good reference to trace out, cut, and then start fabbing. And since the left side, right side of the truck, when you're sitting in it, left side looking at it here, since that was the original one I took all the measurements off of, when I cut this piece, cleaned it up a little bit, it fit perfect. And on the driver's side, since one little thing could be off or something could be different with the way this tube ties in up here, it was close, but I had to do some finessing to get it to fit right. But like I said before, you can see, just take a little time, and little by little, and it fits. And that could easily be TIG welded. There are 0 gaps in this thing. I think this side on the very, very bottom, there might be just a hair gap, like just over a 1/16, but with a MIG welder you can get that. You could even get that with a TIG. It's not horrible, but everything else is, you know, pretty good. So, oh, and I cleaned the windshield too. It's been a while. All right, on to getting the cab off this fucking thing. Well, the next day and the weather turned to shit. Oh well. Front end is in. Next is fitting this rear subframe. Needs to be some trimming done back there, and also the only other thing I didn't know if I was going to do is just fab some pockets like that. Just get them laser cut and bent, and then figure out a way to mount the pockets and eliminate this piece altogether. So, I don't know. I might screw that, I might not. Pull the back window out because I noticed I didn't want to start welding any of this shit inside here and throw sparks all over the rear window. And yeah, other than that, it's getting closer. I need another chain fall to put on the back to lift the back up. And like I said earlier, roll the chassis straight out the door, and then be able to put the cab back on the cab stand, cab chassis, cab roller, cab dolly, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and then put the chassis back in here and roll the cab outside so I can continue cutting all the horse shit I need out of that and clearance in the cowl up there. But yeah, pretty productive couple hours been out here screwing with this.